All right, so I've talked a lot about fasting in the past and all the benefits to it. Specifically, I talked about 24-hour fast. But today we're going to go a little bit deeper into fasting because I have somebody who's much smarter than me with me to talk about it, Dr. Eric Serrano. So stay tuned, and I think you're going to like what you hear.
Actually, John, fasting is one of my most absolute favorite subjects. First of all, anybody that comes to the hospital, anybody, doesn't matter what your disease is, what's the first thing they tell you? Can't eat.
Don't eat.
Fasting.
I've been there.
Yes, you have been there. And it's kind of funny, people don't understand that what happens when you're fasting and they're allowing that body to recover or rest. First of all, number one, you increase blood supply to all the other tissues besides your gut. You let it rest. Two is you allow your microvilli, or the little tentacles that are inside your intestine, to recover, to reproduce faster. Three, you allow your pancreas and liver to absolutely rest. It's incredible. When you're not eating, you let your gallbladder rest. For example, you have gallbladder issues, you cannot eat.
Yeah.
Why? And you also get better. What happens if you have irritable bowel syndrome? What happens if you have colitis? The best way to actually fix any of these issues is absolutely going fasting. Now, I want to bring a subject here. What is the longest documented, absolutely active fasting ever? I'm going to give you the answer, 382 days. This guy weighed 485 pounds when he started it. He had diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, and asthma. At the end of the 182 days, he already had no medications. He was not diabetic. His asthma went away, and rheumatoid arthritis he had no joint pain. And this guy only had water and electrolytes. That's the only thing this guy consumed for 382 days. You don't believe me? You can look up the research. So fasting is one of the secrets to extend life. Even religious people, there's even religious times that you do fasting. And the reason is because I've documented, allows you to rest, allows you to just lay down there, do not move, do not do anything. Just relax, because it's going to make a big difference on you.
Well, I think it's funny too because people think fasting is like a trendy thing. No, fasting has been around for centuries.
Absolutely. The Bible, the oldest book documented, even Jesus, he fasted for 40 days. When they were going through the desert, they had to fast because they couldn't do it. Fasting was actually still an official day, and some people, they go through fasting days. And there's many ways to fast. Intermittent fasting, hour fasting, days fasting, weekend fasting. There's so many names that we can assign to those types of fasting that we can do that is amazing.
And I think one of the things I've gravitated towards working with the people that I work with a lot of people who are into building muscles and things like that. And inevitably what happens is they eat and they eat and they eat and they start getting some of those things that you talked about. Maybe they have indigestion, or maybe they start getting irritable bowel, all these things. And I always thought, number one, just from a common sense perspective, just like you said, you're giving all those organs a break. So your gallbladder doesn't have to continually pump out bile salts. Your pancreas now doesn't have to sit there and crank out insulin because all the carbs you're eating. It just makes good sense to me. And then you mentioned something else. I want you to talk a little bit more about that. The microvilli in your intestines.
Absolutely.
Talk a little bit more about that.
Okay, microvilli is like the Homer Simpson, the little cell with hair tentacles like that, always moving. And the reason they're always moving is because they want to increase the surface area so you can absorb nutrients in between, on top, everywhere. Now, when we eat over and over and over, when you start eating a lot of meals, the body was meant to actually eat every 4 hours, believe it or not. It's a cycle. The cycle is on your liver. It cycles every 4 hours. It's very important you guys to remember that. Now, remember, we also sleep for 8 to 9 hours. So you need to understand that it's a 12-hour cycle. So that's when you're awake. But this microvilli increases the absorption, is the nutrient absorbers in your intestines. When you constantly eat or you're eating foods that have to be removed for like the 5 hour, you're damaging those villi. When those villi are damaged, you cannot absorb nutrients. So now you're suffering from malnutrition, not my caloric diet. So you have to be aware that when you fast, you allow those to rebuild back because you're resting. You're allowing them to come back. So yes, fasting is an amazing tool.
When I think of what you just said, it's digestion. It's better digestion. So
absolutely.
You're setting yourself up. I always like this analogy. I always like the one step back and two forward. So you take one step back with your
Yes.
food and your rest, and now your digestion gets better. And the other thing is, you mentioned pancreas. People who are constantly pounding down thousands and thousands of grams of carbs, they get insulin resistant. Now you can kind of clear some of that
Absolutely.
blood sugar out.
People don't understand the pancreas is two organs, exocrine and endocrine, meaning it makes insulin in your blood, but also have to do digestive enzymes. That's the exocrine component of it. Now I can let it rest. Don't have to dump the digestive enzyme. Doesn't have to dump amylase. Doesn't have to dump the lipase. So now it can make the insulin that it requires to be able to use carbohydrates correctly. That is a super great point.
And then the other thing is, again, as I get older, I think about life expectancy. And my understanding is that there's a lot of good information out there.
It's the only thing that extends the life.
Yeah,
Only thing.
Yeah, caloric restriction
Is the
extends
only-
life. And, I don't know, I'm not familiar with all the studies, but I've seen, a lot of reports on them that talk about caloric restriction and how it increases lifespan and all these different animals and everything. But so I think, the way I feel, so I like to do these 24-hour fasts every 7 to 10 days, and I tend to travel a lot. So what I do sometimes is when I'm traveling,
Every time I'm going to fly, I don't eat.
you don't eat.
I do the same thing. I drink water, guys. Hydration. Remember what we talk about the kidneys, hydration. But I will not eat either. Especially the food on the planes is not. You guys, the chicken on the plane, look it up. It's not chicken.
Peanuts and cookies.
Yeah.
So in terms of doing these 24-hour fasts, I always feel like it's a little tough at first. And I hear a lot of people tell me, like, John, man, I'm really hungry at first. And I just tell them, stick with it. Stick with it. Drink. I like to have, actually, I got this from you, mineral water.
Yes.
I like to have people drink mineral water. I like them to drink just water. I like them to drink tea sometimes. Sometimes the warm tea or something can help.
It's
But
relaxing.
once they get through it, once they get through that first couple meals, and it's like then your hunger goes away, and then you just feel different. And then all of a sudden, sometimes I'll complete my fast and I'll eat.
No, initially you feel tired. All of a sudden you have all this energy. You don't even know what to do with it. That's what actually happens.
Yeah. So you can try different versions, but what I really like to do with people is those 24-hour fasts. Okay, I want to finish with one more question here. I got another question for you. So another one of the things, you've talked a lot about your body's ability to kind of clean itself up.
Yes.
And the first thing that came into my mind when you said that was a process called autophagy.
Yes.
And so autophagy is a process where your body just kind of cleans out debris and bad stuff. My understanding is like the longer fast actually can really promote autophagy. Do you have any thoughts for us on that?
No, there's research on that. That means when you actually, your body parts that are not required, they need to be cleaned out, they just cleaned out themselves. But they need to be fasting because actually has shown to increase that process. I absolutely seen research papers saying when you are doing fasting, autophagy meaning that your body actually cannot dice those parts that are not doing what they're supposed to be doing because the body controls that. With the fasting, it allows it to do it correctly. And actually that's a cancer prevention system, so that is excellent.
Okay. So there you go. Just a little bit more thoughts on fasting, not just John's opinion, but we got Dr. Serrano talking about the benefits of it. So if you have any questions on, I know fasting can be kind of a crazy topic and people say, well, can I get the same benefits from, an intermittent fast or whatever? Those are all great questions. So feel free to put them down below and we'll get them answered for you. But for Dr. Serrano, thanks again for watching. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
And we'll see you next time.